Hello again, welcome to Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds. And we're into November already, so a chance to have a quick talk about what I've got going on in the shed in November, and of course outside the shed with the various shows and the like that are going on. It really does seem like the year's flown by. Maybe it's something to do with breeding the fice the early part of the year, and we're almost no gap, and now we're well into the breeding season of the budgerigars. I know recently we've had a fair number of new subscribers to the channel. Thank you very much to all those of you who have taken the time to subscribe. And don't forget, those of you that are new to the channel, we do have a Facebook page so if you just look up Shed Talk, you can go over onto the Facebook page and have a look at that. Of course, thank you to all those people who subscribed a long time ago and continue to watch the videos throughout. We couldn't forget those. So thank you very much to all those of you who watch the channel. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel and you do enjoy the videos, don't forget to subscribe. Do hit the like button, and of course don't forget to comment on anything you see in the videos. So what have we got going on in November then? Well, of course the main focus remains the breeding pairs that we've got down, the 6 breeding pairs that we've got down. I will talk in a minute or shortly about how they're getting on, and there's relatively good news all around. Say relatively. So yeah, we will talk about that in a little while. I know some people out there have been are in their breeding season at the moment, and I did see on Facebook that a couple of people are struggling with the breeding season. It really is strange. These birds are sent to try us, I'm sure they are. You know, one minute it all seems to be going perfectly, like I have. The start to this breeding season at the moment, I think, from my personal point of view, has started really well. One of the best starts to the season that I've had. A couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I had a couple of really bad years, and I think I might have mentioned it previously, where, you know, I had very few young hens, just because I hadn't bred very many birds, and my stock was getting a bit old, and I had only bred colt birds. Fortunately, it picked up. I had a good season last year, reasonably good season last year. Bred lots of hens, got lots of young hens for this year, and even some of the older birds this year have bred for me. So I don't know, you know, I haven't changed anything, haven't done anything majorly different. Just suddenly the birds seem to click, and things just work. No accounting for them, I don't think. You know, we can always go on and assess what it is we're doing, whether we've done anything differently, what have we done, you know, what have we changed anything in terms of the husbandry of the shed. But sometimes I think, you know, they're just not ready to go down, they're not ready to breed. Anyway, that's enough of that. For those of you that are having a reasonable breeding season, well done. I hope it all goes well for you. For those of you that are struggling a little bit, I do hope that the breeding season picks up for you, and you don't get too downhearted with it all. Anyway, so we will talk a little bit about that, and that will remain the main focus for November. Of course, we've got some birds there that are almost ready to ring. We're waiting for the new rings at the end of the year. Oh yeah, so beginning of December, I think, so in about another month's time. And hopefully we'll have some chicks for the new rings. We've certainly got some chicks that are going to have 2023 rings on them, by the looks of it. But more about that shortly. Well, whilst I'm on the subject of things that can go wrong in the shed, of course, the first hurdle we've got to get over is, for November in particular, is firework night, Guy Fawkes night and Halloween, where there's bound to be loads of fireworks going on. I mentioned this in an episode think in the beginning, the October episode, when I talked about things to do in October. So out in the outside shed, I will leave the lights on a little bit longer. I don't want to do too much around that, but probably for about a week, I will leave them on and the radio going on a little bit longer, just at peak period where there's fireworks. The reason why I don't want to leave it any longer than that is I don't want the fife to think that spring has arrived and they'll all of a sudden start either getting ready for breeding season. So at the moment the lights aren't on there at all. I'm just using the normal daylight period. In here, and I said it before, not quite so bad because we've got a brick building and there's less, the noise and the flashes of lights are less inside here than in that outside light. So and again, I said it before, the radio will be left on slightly longer as well, hopefully just to settle them, get them not used to it. And what we really don't want is particularly those with smaller, younger chicks in there getting a bit of night fright in the boxes, coming out of the box and then not being able to find their way back in and the chicks getting cold. So that's what we don't want to happen, or even a hen deciding to abandon them altogether. But hopefully with the precautions that I'm taking, that won't be quite such a problem. So that's really summing up on what my plans are in terms of breeding season for November. And then of course the other thing that we have got is what's going on behind me is in fact next weekend is the Oxford 1910 annual members show. I think I've got probably about 6 budgerigars to get ready, prepare for that. Worst thing is with the budgies at the moment is every one of them, there was about literally a week ago I was looking at them and thinking I can take that and I can take that and I can take that. I'm looking at them now and suddenly all of them seem to be going out of condition at the same time. So it may be a bit of a challenge to find them out. But I think I've got 4 young birds that I can take and a couple of adult birds that I can take just to help boost the numbers. In terms of the 5 canaries, they're continuing with their training in here. This one seems to like to climb the wire a little bit in the cage. And I think this the one that's behind me, isn't going to make it. It's just still, it looks like it hasn't finishing the molt off completely, so I'm not sure that one's going to be ready. There's a couple out there though that are definitely going to be ready, and my favourite bird, the one that come top of that, when I did the assessment of them, that bird in particular is looking really good at the moment, so I think I will take that one out for that particular show and just see how we're going to get on with that. And I think that's my last show for November. However, I'm hoping I might be able to get out to, I think I said it, High Wycombe show in December, and there's also one really early on in December. I think it's the Swindon Cage Bird Society show, and I might just try and get down to that as well. So I need to see if I can pick up a schedule for that. So whilst that's not November, that will be into December. I need to be thinking about that in the November episode. But like I say, the big thing for me is obviously the Oxford 1910 annual show. Being the show secretary, there's lots of work, particularly this week, making sure I've got all the cage labels out and everything ready for that particular show. So that's where we are with the show period for November. What else have we got going on, and in particularly outside? So down here in the Finch and Fife Light shed, so the main things that are happening down here is in terms of the 5 canaries. I've got the 4 birds that came highest when I did the assessment a couple of weeks ago in the single breeding cages, so quite large breeding cages, so I've got plenty of room to exercise, and the main reason for that is A, to make it easy in terms of doing that showcase training, and also to make sure that they're as far as possible, I can look after their feather condition without there being other birds around sort of picking at tails and that sort of stuff. Within there I've got two cockbirds and 2 hens. I've marked the cages of the cockbirds with a little blue peg so I don't forget which are the cockbirds and which are the hens. So as I say, that's really the stuff that's going on with the fives. The other 4 fives, so the 2 older birds that were my initial pair and the 2 birds that were probably going to go for sale, are in the main flight with the rest of the finches. The finches overall, so the youngsters fully feathered up now, they're doing reasonably well in there. I've not got the heating on in this shed, or not on very high. I think it comes on if it drops below 4 in here, which it seldom does. And the main reason for that is to try and harden off the fives. I know most people would rather the fives actually go through a bit of a frost, but because I've got the zebras and the gold-breasted wax bill and the spice finches in here, I've given it a little bit of heat. So really, and the final thing then is I'm just preparing the outside of the shed now for the winter, beginning to think about sealing up or putting more protection on the wire windows, and just to keep whatever little bit, conserve some of the heat that is in here. And that's really it for in the finch and 5 shed. Really, it's until probably middle of December when I start thinking about the lighting in here and beginning to increase the lighting, ready to bring the 5s into breeding condition. It's really, you know, just keeping it clean, fresh water and all that sort of stuff for the rest of November. So anyway, that's it from out here in the slightly colder, starting to get cold, finch and 5 flight. I forgot to mention, we've got Storm Kieran, Storm Kieran, due in the next couple of days. So you can probably tell when I'm filming this particular bit, due in the next couple of days. So I may have to do a few sort of running repairs if we get that really bad wind, but we'll see. I haven't had any problems with the last couple, so touch wood, we'll all be fine. Don't know if you can hear that, one of the cockbirds is singing its head off in the background. Right, so let's go back indoors and we'll finish off in there with anything else that's going on. Well, as I said, before we go, I'd just do a very quick roundup of the breeding cages. It won't be a full update, that will come in probably the next episode. I'll do a full update on them all. The first thing is to say is that we have rung our first chick, and you can see that here. I did say I'd post a quick video of me ringing that chick. So we've rung our first chick. Unfortunately, it is a 2023 ring, so it'll be last year's ring, which means I can't show it as a young bird next year, but you know, that's the way it goes. And I expect the next few chicks will also be 2023 rung birds. Anyway, in terms of the total number, I think at the last count I have 8 chicks now hatched, between 4 in one box and 4 in another, and we have I've moved the 2 eggs from cage 1 into cage number 4, so we're waiting on those 2 to hatch. Pleased to say we do have full eggs in the cage 2, which is the Lutino cage, so I will have some hopefully Lutino hens and split cockbirds for to use next year, so touch wood if they do hatch. So we've got, you know, full eggs in there, and then we've got we're just waiting on a couple more to hatch in cage number 5, I think, and also in cage number 3 there's one in there, and I need to think about what I'm going to do with that, but that will be for the next episode. And we're still yet to check whether there's any full eggs in cage number 6, but for the next episode we will do a full roundup. What I will also do in the next episode is talk a little bit about the genetics behind the Lutino. I know I keep mentioning that we're going to have Lutino hens and split cockbirds, and there may be some of you that are quite new to this that don't understand how the sex-link varieties work. So I'll talk very briefly about that in the next episode as well. I have done a full video on it, so I'll put a link to that across the top of the screen for those of you that are interested in how the sex-link genes work. Also in November there will be a report from the Oxford 1910 CBS show. I'll let you know how I got on, but also we'll have a look at some of the birds that are there. That will be probably the third episode in November, because it isn't on until the 11th of November, so it'll be in a couple of weeks' time for that particular episode. Then we'll also, perhaps at the very end of the month, talk about any birds that we may be swapping out here because they haven't performed particularly well, but also look at how I'm going to increase the light for the 5 finches down, five canaries down in the outside shed. But anyway, that is just about all we've got time for in this episode. I know the last episode was very long. No one's complained about that. This episode is almost certainly going to be a bit shorter. So anyway, like I say, all we've got time for in this episode. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to hit the like button, do comment, but most of all, do stay safe and enjoy your birds.